So if you're forgetting techniques or blanking out during training, I've got 7 tips that you can do that might help you out. Let's get into it. So this video comes from a question I got on Instagram, and they ask, how do I work on not blanking out in live rounds? So great question. I think that's something that happens to all of us, whether we're training just at practice or even if we're in competition. I know I've had some instances where you get on the competition mats, you're nervous, and you get out there, you kind of forget what you're doing. So this is gonna help also in competition, hopefully, but also the best way to implement probably to start with just in training. So number one, a great idea is just to focus on your entries or hand fighting. So you know that when you're trying to develop a technique or trying to enter into a technique, it all starts with hand fighting, grip fighting. So that's something to focus on. Think about your entry into a technique or even basic defenses while you're training. But again, if you're trying to implement certain movements or techniques on the mats, think about what your entry is, think about the position you want to work on, use that as your go-to, and just try to focus on at least getting the grips that you want. So number two, pretty important, and this is hard if you're a beginner, but it does get better with time, and that is breathe. Breathe and slow down. Take a breath. If you get a grip, slow down a little bit, take a breath, stay calm, stay relaxed. Focus on your breathing. That's a really helpful tool. I think that helps you in jiu-jitsu, moving all the way through the ranks. So I think that if you can slow down a little, not get too crazy, too excited, but just slow down and focus on your breathing, breathing in your nose and out your nose to stay nice and calm. Hopefully that can keep you clear-headed and kind of focused on what you're trying to work on. Number three, I think this is a great tool that I'm sure your coaches utilize with you, and that's positional drilling or positional sparring. If there's a technique or a certain sequence that you're working on, I think starting in that position can be really, really helpful, whether it's half guard or full guard. You start in that position, get lots of reps, and that's kind of what comes with time is those reps. You get more reps in, more time in that position or more time under that, intense environment of training or rolling. I think that can really help you. So I think utilizing positional drilling can be very helpful as part of your full rolling. So positional drilling first and then move that into full rolling. So number four, when you're on the mats, you can work on flow rolling. Now flow rolling is a very, very useful tool for many reasons. I utilize flow rolling as a warm-up, but also kind of get your brain and your body kind of moving and getting focused on jiu-jitsu. So I think flow rolling gives you a lower intensity environment where you can still work on the techniques you want to work on with minimal or less resistance. And I think that it puts you in those positions that you want to work. It gives you time in a kind of a rolling setting, but also it takes a lot of that intensity out of it. You're kind of give and take when you're flow rolling. So I think flow rolling is a very useful tool to work on techniques, and it's a great way to get a little more time in a kind of a semi kind of live scenario where you're still moving around and getting a little bit of resistance. So here's 3 things you can do off the mats to help with not blanking out when you're training. So first idea is a simple one, but set goals and game plans. So think about maybe what you want to work on. Have something you're working on regularly. Don't just jump around from one position to the next. Or if you have a set of techniques, make sure they all kind of integrate or work together or build off of each other. So when you're off the mats, set goals for yourself, like maybe I want to hit this entry, or I want to work on this position, and game plan for that, and think about where you want that technique to go and how you want it to look when you're on the mats. So that feeds into number 2, which is visualization. Now visualization is an extremely useful and effective tool. I think that you got to get good at visualization, get good at kind of focusing and seeing kind of what you want to work on. And visualization is not just thinking about the movement or the technique. It's also kind of actually moving your body, thinking about your grips, moving your hands, thinking, kind of integrating that visualization to also a kind of a movement pattern that can help combine those two things to solidify the movement and hopefully get it a little bit more ingrained in your body so you can kind of hit it when you're on the mats. And number 3 of things you can do off the mats is take notes. I think that after you're done training, you can immediately take some notes on what you think you did well or what maybe you need to work on. But taking notes and setting goals for yourself can be very helpful in feeding into that loop of kind of reintegrating what you want to work on in your goals and what you want to achieve. I think doing all these things on a consistent basis is going to be helpful, but again, it really comes with time, comes with reps. I think if you at least choose and utilize a couple of these ideas, I think they can definitely help you not blank out as much. Hopefully not blank out at all, but not blank out as much on the mats. So hopefully these ideas were helpful for you. If you have any other ideas that maybe come up and you want to share, put them down in the comments below. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys next time.